With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada. From Queen.
The Queen thing has been something amazing for all of us, and it's a real privilege to have that.
To a queen of pop.
I'm Olivia Rodrigo.
Hundreds of the biggest names in music are taking over the all-new SiriusXM app with exclusive guest DJs, The Chainsmokers, Peter Frampton, Demi Lovato, Fall Out Boy, and many more. Get closer to everything that moves you wherever you are with new guest DJ sessions. Now in the new SiriusXM app.
Visit www.SiriusXM.com/go to sign up online quickly and activate your radio. If you haven't subscribed to SiriusXM yet, you're missing out on over 140 channels of sports, news, talk, and entertainment, plus commercial-free music. Get play-by-play from your teams, your favorite music, commercial-free, and personalities like Howard Stern, no matter where you live. Unlock it all now. Activate your radio by visiting www.SiriusXM.com/go to sign up online quickly or call 844-711-8800 now.
On SiriusXM Patriot, Breitbart News Daily, The David Webb Show, The Will Calmer Jordan, Stacy on the Right, Just the News Radio, Sonny's Corner, The Morgan Ortega Show, Breitbart News Saturday, Breitbart News Weekend, and more. Find them all on SiriusXM Patriot. To hear SiriusXM Patriot, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com.
Some songs that I listen to on the regular.
Boundary-pushing hip-hop and R&B from around the globe. Music and culture by Drake.
I always say there's so much deeper than music.
On his exclusive SiriusXM channel.
The one and only Sound 42.
To hear Sound 42, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/go.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at EquityZoneMortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018-14868.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici, let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. That means in reparations. And that includes you. What a beautiful day in Dimter Hills. It's raining in Dimter Hills on a beautiful January 24th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade. And you go by and test drive yours. Tell them sit you where the good Lord split you, if that makes sense to you. And then you can drive a fleet of Cadillac cars. I have so much to say today. Jim Harbaugh decides to go back to the NFL. He's going to be coaching the Los Angeles Chargers. All's fair and level work. Going to give him some praise for going back to the NFL. And then I have some NBA basketball power rankings. We all love power rankings. Really do appreciate that. But then I also got some reports on what happened last night and the Republican stomping they were over in New Hampshire. Nikki Haley, she lost the game, but she said she's right where she wants to be. How's that make sense to you? We lost, but we right where we want to be. All fair more. Got to find something to laugh about. But then I also want to play. I got my thoughts on reparations. If you take something from somebody, you should give it back. That's just what you repair it. If you break something that don't belong to you, you should give it back. I mean, usually that's what happens. If you break something that don't belong to you, shouldn't you give it back? Well, if the country broke its promise to descendants of child of slavery, shouldn't they make good on the payback? Of course, the people know about the Homestead Act of 1862 and 63 that gave over 276 million acres of land to white people and white Europeans. I'm going to get to the introduction, and then I got to say something to get it off my mind. You ever want to get something off your mind? I want to say you can follow, get it off your mind. What's on your mind, Big C? You can follow Big C Sports on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. You can follow on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, TuneIn Podcast, Amazon Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Podbean, Good Pods Podcast, also Alexa Podcast. And you can also follow Big C Sports Podcast on Geo Savan out of London, England, as well as India and Africa, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast. Even though my YouTube is not hooked up, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbean, Robo Podcast, Podcast Policy, Podcast Republic, and one that used to scare me but now it doesn't is called allfees.ai. Give that some praise because the robots, they're trying to take over. You ever have a robot? You know, remote controls are robots. You can press a button, it can turn on your TV. You can press a button, and it will turn off your TV. And that's the best I can do right now. Your drones are like robots. You can just power drones. They go up and fly up in the air and take pictures. But speaking of that, I want to say you can also follow Big C Sports Podcast streaming OTT on 4 TV platforms all over the universe. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. I really do appreciate that. And I want to give that some praise because I rise and shine every day just like the sun always shines. Big C's always shining all over the universe. It keeps shining all over the universe. I want to say something that I love to shine about also the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know anybody going through issues, it could be the person in the mirror. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. I know I do, and it's nice when somebody's leaning back, and that makes sense to you. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he said, let there be light. We got to shine light on the world. We all have something that we're going through, and sometimes you just got to keep giving God praise. Don't worry about people. You got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's what they told all the black people as they were handing out the homestead payment in the land to all the white people in the United States. Imagine by a twist of fate. What if Congress had said to every black American descendants of child slavery in the 1862 and 63 for the Homestead Act, they're going to give descendants of child slavery over 276 million acres of land. And then they gave white people, they gave white people nothing. Oh, there you go again, Big C, talk about nothing. But imagine they gave white people a head start in this country. Congress did that. I'm going to tell you something that's so important that you have to be a fool to not understand it. Because we're on the political season right now. I know a lot of you want to watch the game. You want to go touchdown! Hogan! 3-point play! Oh, man, Willie! He's going already. But for black Americans, this is such an important election. It's more important than your favorite basketball player. And I'll talk about NBA, Big C's NBA power rankings. It's more important that Jim Harbaugh get a job coaching the Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, I mean that's important to you. That's important. It's important to understand what's going on with the San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions this weekend Also, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. That's important. What's even more important is something I'm going to play with you later coming up on the program. With Big C Sports, I always, number one, I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man in dim dirt heels. And I got my own problems. But I never stop rising and shining. I always praise God. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter. I can use more laughter and some more collard greens. That's good for laughter as well. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I do the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. I got Brock Purdy up to the line of scrimmage, 4 wideouts, 5-man front by the Lions. The snap, Purdy rolling to his right, rolling, goes downfield. The ball is caught. Caught for the touchdown. Touchdown, Niners. Brandon Ayuk, 50 yards. It's great to hear that happen on a Sunday, but there's something more powerful that every black American and even white Americans, the good people should pay attention to. I even upload the show. It goes out to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. And I'm in Denver Hills, California. Really do appreciate New York City. And then I got 4 TV platforms. I told you, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And then I never missed a show with Big C Sports. And I'm telling you, I'm so grateful to God. I'm so grateful. I just saw there are more layoffs with some of the nation's large companies. And it's a shame. And they're just laying people off. We know that Google's laying off about 30,000 people. I think even UPS announced some layoffs. You know, workforces are being blown up because of artificial intelligence. Robots can work a lot faster than a human being. They don't need a healthcare plan. They don't need a dental plan. They don't need a vision plan. They don't need any health insurance. They don't need to have a 401k. They don't call in sick. They don't get COVID. They get no problems. You just gotta plug them in. You can plug something in and it works. How you compete against that thing? Well, they just plug it in robots and they're letting people go. It's a shame, but we got to figure out a way. And I think Big C Sports has a way. I'm going to get that some praise. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. I have a way. It's been given to me that we all can do things that robots can't do, if that makes sense to you. I just want to say, before I get into my thoughts on reparations, I'm so grateful to have a platform that I can talk about things that are real, because it's real important to me that I'm not just shucking and jiving about somebody playing with balls. You ever play with balls? Sometimes the balls go flat, and you got to get a brand new one. But sometimes a country's promise goes flat, and you gotta get a new one. It's called reparations. You won't be able to say that you didn't know any better when you hear today's program. It's just in my spirit. I told you I've been feeling so weird this year. It's been a weird year. Things that should be up seem to be down. People that should be for you seem to be against you. When it should be raining in dim dirt hills, it's sunshine. It's snowing up in the mountains. Now it's raining, and they're having floods down in San Diego, California. And the winds are pretty tough in different parts of the state. And this is California, where it really doesn't rain too much. But 3 days of rain can be a lot for California when it's not used to seeing as much. But I'm going to tell you what we should rain. I want to rain the thoughts of reparations. I know we all want to watch basketball games and football games. And, of course, I love them as much as I do, too, as anything else. But I want to take some time. To just, number one, I want to pat myself on the back before I say this. I want to acknowledge the Associated Press that acknowledged Big C Sports Podcast. And I'm saying this because it's real. It's credibility. And when I go into what I'm going to show you after the credibility, then it makes more sense. Because even I have people that say, "Oh, man, you suck." I've had that told to me. And that's okay. I like sucking. As long as I'm sucking on some collard greens, if that makes sense to you. I don't need a napkin. Lick my fingers on some collard greens. And in fact, I was blending some up last night, if that makes sense to you. I want to thank T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. And I want to thank McDonald's, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. Give that some praise. And maybe they'll start serving the collard green shake. We used to have one called the Shamrock Shake, but they got to get one called a collard shake. But back to what I was saying, I do want to give some praise to the Associated Press. You can Google the story. It was March 30th, 2023. Charlton Curry of Sacramento, California, discusses reparations on his Big C Sports podcast, and it says that cash payments are necessary and that money talks. And I think Dr. King said the same thing. I just want to have people, as we're watching Donald Trump and Nikki Haley, avoid the question of reparations. They just want black people to vote for him, and Senator Tim Scott back there clapping. He just clapping his hands. Clapping his hands. Woo! Thank you, Trump. And he's from Carolinas. Just shucking and jiving instead of saying we should talk about reparations. The Civil War was started to end slavery. You got a black man in the South standing behind Trump, not even getting into the Central Park 5, but some of the other things. People vote who they want to. But when you say you love Dr. King and you don't honor Dr. King, I just want to know why not. So I like people to make up their own mind. If I ever want to talk about someone, I want them to be in the room to defend themselves. I hate when people talk about me and I'm not in the room and they start saying, well, this is what he thinks. This is what he thinks. How you know what I think if you didn't ask me? Well, I know what I'm talking about. I want people to hear. You can hear with your own eyes. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying ears? You hear things and you go to the polls because they're all asking for the vote. Whether Biden or Trump or Haley, they're all asking for the vote. And I want to give the California Reparations Task Force some praise. And then I'm going to play something that was said by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and also by Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. And you can make up your own mind when they're telling you what they want to do for you, especially black Americans. We are the swing vote, whether you believe it or not. I would give praise to the California Reparations Task Force, Camila Moore. And I'm the only sports show in the universe that even mentions their name. A lot of people don't even know we had a task force in California, the largest state in the union. Camila Moore, she's the chair. She's brilliant. Love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Amy C. Brown, the vice chair. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Met him at a restaurant just about a week ago on MLK Day, and we were both trying to go get some collard greens, and we were tearing them up. Gotta tear up some collard greens. And then I want to give praise to Senator Stephen Bradford, California Senator. I say he's the #1 senator in the United States of America, not only because he sponsored name, image, and likeness to help college athletes get paid. He created the Ebony Alert to help law enforcement put the same resources into finding black children as the Amber Alert puts into fighting white children. Yeah, I know I talk fast, but I got a lot to say. And I just want to give him praise for that. He's also part of the California Reparations Task Force, and he presented to the state legislature Senate Bill 490. Google it if that makes sense to you. Want to support him. Council member Monica Montgomery Steppe, she's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, a professor at California, Berkeley. I love giving him praise. And I want to give praise to the only Reparations Task Force member who's received reparations. He's a Japanese-American attorney, Donald K. Tamaki. His family got reparations because of what happened in the internment camps. And he's gotten paid out, and he's on the task force. I give him all praise. Give him all praise, praise, praise. And I want you to hear a speech from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and you give me your thoughts. Now, listen to Dr. King.
At the same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
That's important, and you can think about what Dr. King said, and I want to give him some praise because it's important. And I know a lot of people don't think about it the way I do. But it's so important because right now they're stomping, asking people to vote for them. Whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Nikki Haley, or whether it is President Biden, who's right now has a position that he can go to Congress and get reparations passed, as they're all not even talking about reparations. But I also want to play something, because if you hear it from me, you might say, oh, he's just talking. But if you hear it from the mouth of a Senate Minority Leader and telling you his thoughts versus Dr. King's thoughts, I want to ask you, what side are you on? What country do you believe in? It's not about Big C Sports. It's about what side are you on. Give it some praise. And I'm going to come back, give praise to Dr. King. I'm going to come back and tell you the thoughts of Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Now you've got the chance to hear it with your own two ears. Now, these gentlemen and ladies that are stomping to become the nominee for the Republican Party, listen to what they said and see if you can relate it to what Dr. King said, and listen with your own two ears.
I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago, for whom none of us currently living are responsible, is a good idea. We've tried to deal with our original sin of slavery by fighting a civil war, by passing landmark civil rights legislation. We've elected an African-American president. I think we're always a work in progress in this country, but no one currently alive was responsible for that. And I don't think we should be trying to figure out how to compensate for it. First of all, it'd be pretty hard to figure out who to compensate. We've had waves of immigrants as well who've come to the country and experienced dramatic discrimination of one kind or another. So no, I don't think reparations are a good idea.
And that's Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who's telling you, he's telling all you black folks that want to vote for his side, he said no! And his family owned slaves. And he's saying the country died. He's saying because he was not alive, or that no people were alive today that were alive in 1865, he's saying we had nothing to do with it. What a stupid thing to say. The country existed in 1865. You see how they want to get out of it? Well, we don't believe that. We don't believe that we should have to pay reparations for something that happened 150 years ago. In the Homestead Act in 1863, it gave white people like Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell over 276 million acres of land, and they never get it back! The United States existed during the end of slavery, when reparations was promised by President Abraham Lincoln. And now you have slick-talking men like Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, whose families had slaves, documented 14 of them, and 12 were beautiful Nubian black women. What do you think they were doing to those black women that had no rights? And the men, too, they were raping them. They were lynching the men, beating them, selling off their children. All that free labor. And he's going to tell you, oh, we don't believe what Dr. King believed in. We just want to have a dream. He had a dream, too. He had a dream they could keep everything and all that slavery going on forever. What a joke. I know you want to watch the game. I know you can't wait to see who's going to win the game. But that's part of the problem. You got people voting, and you got black folks like Senator Tim Scott standing behind POTUS, Trump, and who they're anti-reparations. And then Tim Scott's back there clapping for his own demise. Doesn't make any sense. Race is not about the color of people. I know that. There are people who hurt people who look just like them. I understand that too. But when it comes to descendants of child slavery, and you just heard that statement by Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. He doesn't believe that the United States government existed during the end of slavery. Because you see how he used his slick tongue? He said that nobody was alive today that participated in slavery. Is he saying the United States died? Did he just say the United States died? But that's called old slickness, his old slick tongue. And then he said, we had a black president. Okay, so that means that we got all the reparations and all that free labor because they elected President Barack Obama, who he said with his own mouth is going to make sure he's a one-term president. It's amazing how some of these white men, they speak out of two sides of their tongue. They will just lie and lie and lie. And when he says that we had nothing to do with it, I want you to pick out your cell phone or your computer because my show is factual. I know you want to watch the game. My show is factual. I'm asking for help. I can't do it on my own, but I will do the best that God allows me to do. I believe in facts. If you can't Google what I tell you, then you don't have to listen to me. This is more important than who's going to win your next game. You just heard Dr. Martin Luther King, his I Have a Dream speech. He's going to Washington to get a check. He was talking about reparations, and we just celebrated Dr. King holiday this month, January. And you hear Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell saying, oh, you don't believe reparations was something that happened 150 years ago. But they won't give back the free labor that white people got, called the Homestead Act. You can Google it. Look at how much it gave them. They didn't have to work for it. Dr. King talked about it in his speech. But you can also Google Survivors Today Act of 2017. Oh, DC, you already said that. Well, faith comes by hearing. And Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell can Google it too. It says the Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017 is United States legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on steps that 47 countries in Europe have taken to compensate Holocaust survivors and their heirs for assets seized by Nazi Germany and post-war communist governments. Give that some praise. No one's doubting that. But when it comes to black folks, they already have an excuse. Whoa, we weren't alive at that time. And his ancestry owned slaves. I always talk about my ancestry in my program and how without them having a faith in God and a strong work ethic, I wouldn't be here to this day. They would have given up or been lynched. My family left the South because of the Jim Crow South was so draconianly cruel. They came out here so they could live, so they wouldn't have to worry about someone being lynched. I'm not saying California was a bed of roses, but it was a lot better than what was happening to the black folks in the South. The South was so draconian toward people of color, they even have a slavery museum in Alabama! They got plaques hanging from the walls, hanging from the rafters, with the names of the slaves that were lynched. And there's thousands of them. Thousands! Oh, we don't believe we should have to pay reparations for something that happened over 150 years ago. And they got us so hooked on sports that many of our black men don't even talk about reparations. It's like I'm the only one and a handful of other people. In the sports world, there's a lot of people that have a bigger voice than Big C Sports. And if you don't think the white people you work for are evil, then wouldn't you ask them to talk about reparations? Unless you think the guy that signs your paycheck is evil! If somebody loves you, they support you. They don't have to agree with you, but they at least support you. Who doesn't love Dr. King? You just had a chance to hear Dr. King's speech on reparations and land grants for the Homestead Act, and we're going to get our check when we go to Washington, and then you got a white man, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, whose family owns slaves on both sides. And he's saying, well, we don't believe we should pay nothing. Evil. Like I said, if you steal something from somebody, you should give it back. If you rob somebody or deceive somebody to get money from them or property, you should give it back. That's the right thing to do. We don't believe we should have to pay reparations for something we stole 150 years ago. Just because he thinks he's clever doesn't mean he's not a thief. And now he's going to say the United States of America did not exist at the time that slavery was abolished. He's trying to make it about people. Or the people weren't alive. Why would they have to pay? It's the federal government. I just want to say, give Big C's worth some praise. You won't hear that on other shows. I know I'm going to get into NBA power rankings, but it's important. I love giving credit where credit's due. Love representing the National Black Wall Street Project as co-chair in Northern California. But I also want to thank people who are part of helping get reparations in, because it has to happen. I want people to focus on Senator Stephen Bradford because it's important. I know he doesn't shoot a 3-point basket. He doesn't run a 4.5 40, but he did present legislation to the California legislature for Senate Bill 490 for Freedmen's Bureau in California. And you can Google it. SB 490, Freedmen's Bureau of California. He's trying to create that. And President Lincoln established Freedmen's Bank back in March 3rd of 1865 because black Americans had no place to take and put their hard-earned money. And there was a board of white 50 trustees that were appointed to watch over the money. And they stole the money! As we're standing for the kickoff. I just know it's more important than maybe people want to let on to, but we got to find a way to get through this. I love giving my thoughts on it, but I also say everything I do, I make sure that I footnote it. You can always look at it. Even POTUS Trump said on slavery, he said, I don't see it happening. Why would he not see it happening? They're telling you, vote for me, but I'm not doing anything for you to solve what America did to you people of color. He said that slavery reparations, the debate is interesting, but it doesn't see it happening. That's Trump, and now you got black men standing behind him clapping. Like, why? Why? And we got people all around the country just standing in line for the kickoff, and there's nothing wrong with that. But don't turn your eye on what's going on in this country. It's important. We all have challenges, but we got to overcome them. I do it through prayer and faith and just working hard, showing up every day. But I also make sure I do my part to disseminate over the airways what I think is great for our country. And reparations will stimulate the economy. I know President Biden, he proposed a new bill to study reparations. He can sign it into law instead of just studying all the time. That's my opinion, though. But at least he proposed it. But you can't just keep proposing stuff. How about put it into action with executive order? That's possible. I just want to say that's so important to me. Everyone can Google HR 40. That's Representative Sheila Jackson Lee has 172 co-sponsors of her bill. Also, Google Reparations AB 3121 California. It's in the legislation right now. You can Google it and see what's going on. That's important. From New York to California, the governors are looking at reparations. They believe in it. It's so important that we are part of that solution and not just drunken love watching sports. I can't tell anybody what to do, so I do it myself. I don't wait for someone to tell me what to do. I do it. I do my research, and I do it. I do the best of my ability. And that's what I'm asking everyone else to do. It's important that we do that. If we don't do it, nobody will. I want to thank Double O, part of the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street, sent me Executive Order 13985. And it's about what President Biden did in his first day of office. He talked about uplifting our people in communities that have been disadvantaged. That's the African American community. We didn't get the land grants that the white people got through the Homestead Act and that the GI Bill gave to the white soldiers that came home from the war. Our black soldiers didn't get that. But it's not about just pointing the finger at somebody. I want to be a part of the solution too. And that's what I love doing with the Big C Sports. And that's why I give that some praise. It's not for everybody. But you can Google it. Executive Order 13985. Advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. Senator Mitch McConnell says we elected a black president because he thinks that's all that we need. But he won't do anything to address how they gave white people over 276 million acres of land for free. Dr. King talked about it. If that makes sense to you. And that happened at the end of slavery. And many of us were not alive in 1865 when white Americans from Congress got the 276 million acres of land. Did they take it back and redistribute it? No. Why not? You got to listen to what the man said. When slavery was abolished, 1865, completely through Texas. It was really 1863, but Texas, they kept them working for free and kept deceiving them. And the Homestead Act were passed right about a year apart. Slavery ended 1863, fully ratified 1865. Homestead Act was passed 1862, 1863. And we weren't alive when it happened, but they gave the white people all that land. Dr. King, in his speech, I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. They happened concurrently. But he didn't say we have to address the unfairness that happened for white people, even white Europeans. And they asking you for your vote. I want to thank Double O, part of the PAC Committee of National Black Wall Street, sent me an article by the United Nations. Says that strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. That's important. And we got to do something about it. I know President Biden said he's back studying reparations, but you got to decide, are you on Dr. King's side or are you not? If you're on Dr. King's side, it's an easy thing to do. You done it for President Zelensky. You gave him $100 billion. And then he came back, you gave him $200 million more, and some aerial planes, and he tried to get another $110 billion. And you were not shucking and jiving and asking for study for that. Congress blocked it. And the people that put you in office, what are you going to say to black people now? I told you before I get into the sports, I want to announce an event that's coming up in Denver Hills, California on January 27th, 2024. It's so important, it's powerful. It's about finding the missing link for people in the long-term care and also people looking for work. Because we have a solution for you. It is part of, I'm more than just a sports guy. My goal is to help put a lot of people back to work. And I'm going to do the best I can to be a part of it. Protect your property and income with irrevocable trust put together by some of the top attorneys in California. Also having special guests from the California Insurance Commissioner and some other dignitaries that are going to be at the event. How do you get into it? 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, and get us some praise telling Big C Central. So I'm more than just doing sports. I know some people can't stand trying to figure out what's going on in life more than just a sports game, but I really want to do my part that everybody understands we can do so much to figure out how to get things done. We gotta do it. Don't just be shucking and jiving over sports. So I know a lot of people have their minds set on what they're doing in sports, and it's great. But if we, as decent people, black, white, brown, red, yellow, no matter what it is, LEADER is the answer. LEADER is an acronym for love is the answer, no matter what people are going through. And I just keep prayers out for everybody. But I want to get into Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. It's so important that people in the sports world hopefully will start championing reparations, especially our black men, because we're Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. We're still in the month of January, which has been a weird month for me. It's going to get better, though. I know it. I'm going to chant it into being better. But I want to cover Big C's NBA power rankings. The great Joel Embiid dropped 70 points, and we did that earlier this week, and people give that praise. Nothing wrong with giving that praise. But I do want to get into Big C's NBA basketball power rankings, and everybody has their own thoughts on it. I'm going to do Big C's top 10 power rankings. And again, whatever you do with it, every team has their own hopes of winning an NBA championship this year. But I got number 10 in Big C's NBA power rankings. I got the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns have won 5 straight after beating the Kings, the Pelicans, and the Pacers this week. Devin Booker dropped 52 points in the win over New Orleans. We know they're a good team, and they have a lot of noise they're going to make coming down the back nine for the playoffs this year. So I really like what Phoenix is doing, and I'm going to keep them ranked at number 10. I got number 9 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. I got the New York Knicks. Now, the Knicks train, they kept on rolling this week with big wins over the Houston Rockets and over the Wizards and the Raptors. New York has been simply unstoppable. And so far, the great OG Anunoby is doing his thing. They're outscoring opponents by 38 points per 100 possessions. That's a team that can make a lot of noise in the East if you don't look out for them. I got number 8 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. They beat the Pistons and the Grizzlies to start the week and then blew a late lead in a loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder, an embarrassing home loss to the Hornets in a game that Karl Anthony Towns, the Big Cat, had a franchise record 62 points, all's fair and level. Where I got number 7 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings, I got Cleveland. This is for you. Got the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers, they're not just winning without 2 of their best players, sometimes 3. They're straight up beating people up. All 3 wins came by at least 21 points as the offense put up 129 points per 100 possessions. Holding to the opposite, 98 points. They're a great team, Cleveland. Not as good as the team they had under LeBron James, but I still think they're a dynamic team. I got number 6 in Big C's NBA power rankings. I'm going to go down south to the LA Clippers. The Clippers won both their games this week, taking down the Thunder and the Nets while averaging 127 points per game. So somebody's not playing good defense. We're averaging 127 points a game. The great Paul George out of Lancaster, California and Fresno State dropped 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 42% from three-point shooting. Also, Russell Westbrook, who played at Lucifer High School in Southern California, turned in one of his best games of the season against Brooklyn with 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists on 10 of 16 shooting in 31 minutes. I got, it's just my opinion, I got number 5 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. I got to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And when they say you see where you hear thunder, there's lightning. Or you see lightning first and then thunder. But the Thunder, they started off the week with a loss to the Clippers. They bounced back to take down the hot Utah Jazz and the West leading the Wolves, Timberwolves. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 28 points in 3 games, including a dagger step-back three-pointer to complete the comeback effort against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jalen Williams dropped 24 points and 6 assists per game for the week, shooting 59%. That good boy knows how to put it in the bucket like it has a laser beam. I want to go number 4 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. I'm going to go with whether you believe it or not, I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I love King Giannis Antetokounmpo and also Dollar Dame. The Bucks, I'm telling you, they dismantled the Cavaliers without Giannis Antetokounmpo and then bounced back by beating the lowly Pistons in consecutive games. Dollar Dame Damian Lillard put up a season high, dropped 45 points and 11 assists in Saturday's win over Detroit. That good boy can play. We know he's a great player. Everybody has their own thoughts about who the best player is, but that's my story that I'm sticking with. I'm going to go with number 3 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. I'm going to go the great Nikola Jokic. But before that, I'll also say the Bucks to hire Doc Rivers as head coach in Milwaukee. Obviously, they could use that leadership because he's very good. Milwaukee's second in the Eastern Conference, and they're at 30-13 right now. But I think Doc Rivers has that winning pedigree. They just didn't appreciate him when he was doing his thing in the LA with the Clippers and also Philadelphia with the 76ers. But he's going to turn things around for the Milwaukee Bucks. Back to the Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. I have the defending NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets. Don't sleep on this team. The great Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid showdown did not go the Nuggets' way, but they followed it up with their best win of the season in Boston. Another victory over the Wizards on Sunday, and Jamal Murray once again displayed how dominant he can be with the ball in his hands. A big John Bear making big-time plays, dropping 30 points, actually 35 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists against the Boston Celtics. The Joker, he shot well. He hit a 64% for the week while averaging 34 points and 14 rebounds and 7 assists. He turns out every day. He's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Long ago in the galaxy far, far away. You can always depend on the Joker doing his thing. I got number 2 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. I know people have their own thoughts about it. Sometimes people go, what about the record? I'm going to give you my thoughts. I got number 2 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. I have the Philadelphia 76ers. 70 points is amazing. Give Joel Embiid all the credit. And then, when you think about what he did in the first half of the season against the Spurs on Monday night, just so it happened to cap off a 4-0 week for Philadelphia. Earlier in the week, Joel Embiid dropped 41 points in a win over Nikola Jokic and the defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets. He is playing like he's the MVP. The great Joel Embiid. I love the way he plays. Sometimes people say he doesn't show up in the playoffs, but I think he just needs that support. He's a guy that you can lean on him. He's like a sturdy chair. You can lean on him. Just don't break his legs. Don't pull the wool out from under him. If he can get this team in the Eastern Conference Finals, they may finally break through, if that makes sense to you. But I still got number one in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. Havlicek inbounds to Russell. Russell throws up to Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge over to Kevin McHale. McHale over to Larry Bird. Larry Bird to Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum for three. Wait a minute. They had 6 guys on the court. Who's counting when you're in Boston? I still have Boston, Bingtown, the Celtics as Big C's number one power ranking team. And why do I say that? Because the Celtics beat the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Mavericks this week. But the game that stands out is their 2-point loss to the Denver Nuggets in a potential finals preview. Jason Tatum is amazing. He dropped 26 points. He had 8 rebounds for the week and shot less than 40% from the field. Kristaps Porzingis, he only played in 2 of the games, but dominated with 32 points, 5 blocks in the win over Houston. There's something about the Boston Celtics. They have 17 NBA championships. Oh, wait, I'm Big C. Some people say 18. I'm saying 17. The Lakers are tied with them. And if you think about this franchise, they're always in the thick of things. They could have gotten over the hump last year, but they didn't. And you can't say if and should have and would have. When I heard the lottery sponsoring Big C Sports, California Lottery, the lottery's up to, Powerball's up to $250 million. And I said, I'll take it. But you got to, and that's Big C's NBA Power Rankings. I want to give that praise. Everybody has their own thoughts. But what I would really love, I would love if our beautiful basketball and football players, black and white, but particularly the black men, I would love if they would champion reparations. I know everybody has their own thoughts about what they want to say and what they don't want to say, but it really is, it's so important, and I love the fact that we all have a chance to be a part of something great when reparations happens in California. I want to give that praise. I'm not one to wait until it happens to give it praise. I want to do it now. But I also want to send us out today's show celebrating Big C's thoughts on tremendous black women athletes who made sports history. It's part of the black women's sports history that I like talking about. And there's some dynamic women who are not only wives and mothers and great athletes, they oftentimes will champion for causes that are great, oftentimes getting the least amount of support. That's beautiful, intelligent black women. All life came from Africa, from the womb of a black woman, according to Dr. Lee King Regramendum. But I'm going to talk about athletes right now, and there's more and more black women that I would have thought with WNBA would have been championing reparations, because a lot of our black men didn't do it, and a lot of our white men didn't do it, a lot of our white women didn't do it, but maybe they don't believe in it. But they won't give back the 276 million acres of land that was given to them for free in the Homestead Act, 1862 and 63. So I love to feature some great black women that have been rising and shining over the years. And sometimes people, they may not think about how much they've had to deal with. For every first or only, there's at least one or even a dozen black women who were qualified to take a position or break a record, but were derailed due to the racism, sexism ingrained in our societies. And I believe black women athletes should not have to be generational talents, but you know their names. Sportswomen listed all over the country and all over the world have done a lot to make life easier for themselves and their families, oftentimes having to do it against racism and that sting of sexism. It's a double whammy. When the Me Too movement happened in white Hollywood, white women were complaining that they were harmed. And so the courts would say, well, this happened allegedly 30 years ago. They were taking men to court, and Gloria Allred showed up, and they were getting settlements. If white women had to put up with crap, what do you think black women had to put up with? Who was advocating for them? Well, Big C Sports is. I know everybody has their own thoughts, but I want to just bring it that black women will help champion reparations too, since a lot of our black brethren are afraid to. It's important. I would think Vice President Kamala Harris would be stomping for reparations. She's coming to the Bay Area this week. But if we're not talking about reparations, what are we talking about? When Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says we don't believe we should pay reparations for something that happened 150 years ago, and Dr. King told us that reparations are due. Which side do you believe? I want to give some praise to that thought because it's so important. And in America, we have so many people that have achieved on the athletic floors. But many people may not know of a woman by the name of Emma Clark. She's born in 1876, just after slavery, about a decade after slavery. And she passed away in 1905. She's considered the first known black British woman football player competing for the British ladies as a right winger and a goalkeeper. People don't know that. People may not know the great Cynthia Cooper, born 1963, right in the days before civil rights. Is the WNBA's first MVP in 1997 and is now a member of both the Women's Basketball and Naismith Hall of Fame. And Cooper won 2 national championships at the University of Southern California, the Trojans, and she competed professionally from 1986 to 2003. She won 4 consecutive WNBA titles and 4 Finals MVP awards, along with 3 total scoring titles, an additional league MVP award, and an Olympic gold medal. Give her some praise. And we think about reparations, why it's so important. It's important. All over this country, we've had women championing for it. And we need it to happen. I want to also bring a name to Dominique Dawes, born 1976. Is the first black person to win an Olympic gold medal in gymnastics. She competed for the United States gym team for 10 years, competed in 3 Olympic Games, and was part of the 1996 Magnificent 7 Olympic team. That's important. We need reparations the way we need gold medals. As a culture, we get celebrated for what we do in athletics. But these women, you may have remembered them, you may have never heard of them. I want to bring up Althea Gibson, another amazing black woman. Born 1927, lived to 2003, is the first black tennis player to win the French Open in 1956, the U.S. Open in 1957, and 1958, and Wimbledon in 1957, and 1958 singles. When you think about what she did, Gibson is in the International Tennis Hall of Fame and dominated the global game in the late 1950s and later became a professional golfer. Beautiful, intelligent black woman. And did it, a lot of that stuff that she accomplished, she did it during Jim Crow. What's Jim Crow, Big C? Google Jim Crow and then decide if Dr. King was right about reparations. Because Jim Crow lasted over 100 years. It was not affecting white ladies. It was affecting black women and black men. And they were still able to rise and shine. And now we have people today, governors, that are talking about reparations and how it needs to happen. And there are people who may not understand how important it is. But I'm telling you about black women, beautiful, intelligent black women that achieved during Jim Crow. You got to understand how powerful that is. One of the more celebrated track athletes that was born in Jim Crow, the late Florence Griffith Joyner. Born 1959, she passed in 1998, set the world records in 1988 for both the 100 and 200 meter. They have never been more broken. Think about it. Never been broken. She won 4 medals at the Seoul Olympic Games with the United States track and field teams, and 3 gold medals and 1 silver as the fastest woman of all time. Flojo. I'm going to bring you another beautiful, intelligent black woman that many people don't even know about. And they did it. She was born in Jim Crow. Lisa Harris, 1955 she was born, lived to 1922. The first woman to score during an Olympic basketball game. One of the first college basketball stars. She won 3 consecutive AIAW championships and tournament MVP titles with Delta State, and is an Olympic silver medalist with the United States national team, and the first black woman inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame in 1992. She was born in Jim Crow. She didn't have reparations that benefit her the way a lot of our white athletes have. It's important. We got to know this. A lot of us may not know it. But I think it's so important. And I'm going to bring up another name. The great Jackie Joyner Kersee, very well-known household name, born in 1962, holds the world record for the heptathlon and second best all-time record in the long jump. She won 6 Olympic medals, 3 golds, 1 silver, and 2 bronze in the long jump and the heptathlon in 1984 to 1996. She was amazing as an athlete. And as a beautiful, intelligent black woman, I'm asking all of us who still can champion for reparations, don't be shy about it, because we supported the We Too movement. The Me Too movement was supported by black people, but it was mostly a white woman's cause. We got to realize we get celebrated for athletics, but what about women not running up and down the court? I want to give praise to Wilma Rudolph, another beautiful, intelligent black woman, born in 1940. She lived in 1994. Is the first United States woman to win 3 gold medals, the 100 meters, the 200 meters, and the 4x100 meter at one Olympics, Rome 1960. She was considered the fastest woman in the world in the 1960s, and she retired at a peak in 1962. She did it through Jim Crow. I know we all talk about what's great in sports and in life, and I know that sometimes we use sports to get our mind off of things that maybe are too uncomfortable to talk about. But that's what I love about Big C Sports, that we should champion reparations because so many beautiful, intelligent athletes never got it. Whether you did your thing back in the 1800s or even now. I want to congratulate Ora Washington, born 1898, lived to 1971, is considered the United States of America's first black woman sports celebrity, and played both tennis and basketball on the tennis courts. Washington won 12 straight American Tennis Association doubles titles and 9 straight singles titles. In basketball, Washington won 11 consecutive world titles and played for the Philadelphia Tribunes and Georgetown Hornets. People don't even know her name unless you listen to Big C Sports. That's just important to me. I want to give them all praise. I think we can do so much as a country when we get all people, all colors, all faiths, all religions to buy into the fact that reparations are due. And we can support California Senator Stephen Bradford for Senate Bill 490 and understand, give us support, talk to our legislators. As people are stomping to be the next president-elect in the United States, they too can champion reparations. I think Big C Sports is a little bit different than most shows because I give you sports and I give you real stories. It's not for everybody's liking, and that's okay. Whatever I do, I try to be factual as much as possible. That's why I tell you to Google things that I'm saying so I can earn my credibility. Because if I can do it as one beautiful, intelligent black man, what about the days we get ESPN and CNN and ABC Sports and CBS Sports and NBC Sports and Fox Sports and NFL Network and NBA on TNT? If you're afraid to talk about reparations, can you at least just support the people who do for us and our ancestry? I love giving praise to my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, my grandparents, my beautiful mother, my beautiful father, my brothers and sisters, my beautiful children. I'm doing it for not just me. It's nice when you have somebody else to hold your hand. No matter what you're going through, treat people fair. If you do something wrong, say, I'm sorry. But the country knows you heard Dr. King's speech and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell's speech. Which way do we want to go? I'm going with Dr. King all the way. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, you know what time it is. I say it on every Big C Sports show. If you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber, you could call Lyft, you could walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car after they've been drinking and start driving. The life you save may be your own or someone you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, back by popular demand. Back in the day, There's a man known by the name of Jubu Didi Brown. He is known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, it makes me want to say reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. I love the image and the passion of Muhammad Ali. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. Somebody going up beside your head, pick up the phone, call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that abuse. Stop doing it. And men, if you're doing it, stop it. Pick up the phone, call 911. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. And back by popular demand, I want to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and President Abraham Lincoln. President Biden, you can join in. When he said, reparations now, reparations forever. Come on, you heard Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell say he doesn't believe in reparations, even though his family owned slaves, his ancestry. You heard Dr. Martin Luther King say what he believed. And President Abraham Lincoln, they said, reparations now, reparations forever. We got to get this done, people. Two great men said it, Abraham Lincoln and Dr. King. Let's give them our support. Sign reparations now. Sign reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.